Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Week in Review on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Kabir Hassan. This week, major developments shaped the national and global conversation from the National Assembly, where President Bola Tinubu presented a 58.47 trillion naira 2026 budget and also transmitted 43.5 trillion naira budget reenactment bill for legislative consideration. Beyond Nigeria, unrest in Australia and other international developments also made headlines. And now here are the details of the stories. President Bola Tinubu has earmarked 5.41 trillion naira for security, the single largest allocation in the proposed 2026 budget. Tinubu disclosed this while presenting the 58.18 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly, where he said national security remains the foundation of economic growth, investment, and social stability. It marks the third consecutive year that defense and security spending have taken priority since the administration began presenting national budgets in November of 2023. Oyi Abomofwebe reports.
Under the proposal, defense and security will receive the lion's share ahead of infrastructure, education, and health, reaffirming a pattern established in the 2024 and 2025 budget cycles, where security consistently attracted the highest sectoral funding amid persistent threats from terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping.
National security remains the foundation of development. The 2026 budget strengthens support for modernization of armed forces, intelligence-driven pricing and joint operations, border security, and technology-enabled surveillance and community-based peace-building and conflict prevention.
Beyond security, the 2026 budget also proposes 3.56 trillion naira for infrastructure, 3.52 trillion naira for education, and
without security, investment will not thrive. Without education and healthy citizens, productivity will not rise. Without infrastructure, jobs and enterprises will not scale. This budget is therefore designed to provide a single coherent program of national renewal, a national security and peace building.
On his part, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, noted that the 2026 appropriation bill is more than the compilation of figures.
The 2026 appropriation bill you are about to present before us is therefore far more than a compilation of figures. It is, for us, a statement of intent, a reflection of priorities, a record of difficult choices, and a roadmap for the next phase of Nigeria's national renewal.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, said while the economy has shown signs of recovery and stability in 2025, volatility in global oil markets and optimistic fiscal assumptions had exposed the risks of over-reliance on crude oil revenues, making realism and discipline imperative in the 2026 budget framework.
If 2025 was a year of adjustment and learning, 2026 must be a year of fulfillment. Growth must increasingly translate into jobs, higher incomes, and expanded opportunities.
As earlier, the Federal Executive Council had approved the 2026 budget framework at an emergency meeting presided over for the first time by Vice President Kashim Shettima. Oyi Abomofwebe reporting for Global TV News.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has charged relevant agencies to work hard to generate revenue capable of funding critical sector of the economy. Senator Akpabio gave the charge while declaring the while declaring open the interactive meeting on the 2026 to 2028 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper organized by the Senate Committee on Finance in Abuja. Topsy Gimba has details.
The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who was represented by the Deputy Chief Whip, Senator Peter Nwaboyin, said budgetary assumption was often estimated based with the revenue generation to enable the government to fund its capital projects and pay workers' salaries. He tasked the stakeholders to live up to their responsibilities for the robust economic development in the country.
It is my expectation, therefore, that the deliberation arising from this exercise will further deepen collaboration between the executive and the legislative arm of government, all geared towards promoting the national interests of our country, Nigeria.
Earlier, the chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, APC, Niger East, said the interactive meeting on the 2026 to 2028 MTEF and FSP was to propose revenue assumptions for the purpose of funding people's base budget.
Part of that solution that we saw last week was at the Federal Executive Council, where His Excellency the President himself approved and gave directive that all outstanding debts in terms of 2024-2025, the 30% should be cleared.
Those who attended the interactive meeting on the MTEF and FSP were the Minister of Finance, Accounting Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Odun, Minister of Budget and National Planning, Abubakar Atiku, the Minister of State Petroleum, Senator Lukwogboro Henikin, Chairman, Nigeria Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, and others looked into the 2024 and 2025 budgets and why the two budgets are still running concurrently. The Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Odun, explained some economic policies of the government and the implementation based on how much is generated and the expenses.
His Excellency, Mr. President, having removed the major distortions in the economy, having stabilized it, the whole point is that there should be investment. And we are having investment across all sectors.
On the non-payment of local contractors, Mr. Wale Odun said the presidential directive has already been issued for the immediate payment of 30% to all local contractors.
The Koreas of this world, the Singapores of this world, they did it, the Chinas, by mobilizing their own savings so that when they produce, they don't consume everything.
The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, further explained how the budget is planned and its implementation and reason behind the rollover of 2024, 2025 to 2026.
That relationship is what is required to generate more investment in infrastructure, renewed hope infrastructure, which is affecting all parts of Nigeria and creating jobs. Equally, the increased spending on security by all the tiers of government is supposed to support domestic production, domestic job creation.
The chairman, Nigeria Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, proposed how much the agency would generate for the funding of 2026 budget, while responding on why the agency has signed a memorandum of understanding MOU with France. The meeting ended with a resolution by the chairman of the committee to set up a three-man committee to work with the Accountant General of the Federation for the quick payment of local contractors. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
In a key step toward the 2026 national budget, the Senate has approved the 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. Topsy Gimba was there for Global TV News.
This provides green lights for President Bola Tinubu to present a proposed 54.4 trillion appropriation bill later this week. The approval came during Tuesday's plenary following a report by Senate Finance Committee Chairman Senator Sani Musa. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced a passage calling the MTEF a statutory prerequisite for the budget, not its final form. It paves the way for lawmakers to receive the full budget proposal by Thursday, with room for reviews once late.
The framework for revenues and expenses. The 2026 Federal Government of Nigeria budget proposed spending, which stands at 54.46 trillion, of which 34.33 trillion is federal government retained revenue. New borrowings standing at 17.8 trillion, which constitute both domestic and foreign borrowings. Debt service valued at 15.5 trillion. pensions, gratuities, and retirees benefits standing at 1.33 trillion, and fiscal deficit standing at 20.1 trillion. That this be sustained. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 9, that the capital expenditure exclusive of transfers of 20.1 trillion, statutory transfers of 3.1 trillion, and sinking fund projected at 388.5 billion be sustained. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 10, that total recurrent non-debt projects projected at 15.2 trillion, special intervention for recurrent and capital pegged at 200 billion, and 14 billion respectively be sustained within this report. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Akpabio expressed confidence that the framework's projections will realistically back the federal government's Renew Hope agenda. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
As part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's foreign policy, the Senate has confirmed all 64 nominees for career and non-career ambassadorial positions. This followed the adoption of a report by the Committee of Foreign Affairs, chaired by Senator Sani Bello. Topsy Gimba has details.
The confirmation was, however, not without tension, as Senator Shabi Yau objected to the non-inclusion of any nominee for Zamfara State in the ambassadorial list and called on the president to address the abnormality.
The ambassadorial nominees, and to my dismay, I couldn't find Zamfara State on the list. None, both career and non-career. So, I wonder. I wouldn't say that. I believe it must be an oversight by some officials that will have used the hands and eyes of Mr. President.
President of the Senate, Goza Akpabio, acknowledged the concern, noting the list isn't exhaustive. He assured lawmakers he will raise it with President Tinubu and confirmed more nominations are coming, ensuring Zamfara's inclusion. This confirmation strengthens Nigeria's diplomatic corps amid ongoing global engagements.
The list of ambassador nominees is not exhaustive. In other words, it has not been exhausted. The number of countries are so many, and some of them are career ambassadors. The non-career ambassadors are not even as many as they ought to be. So I believe that another list will be coming, and Zamfara State cannot be left out and will not be left out, I assure you.
President Bola Tinubu had, on December 4th, sent a request for 34 career and 31 non-career ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
The House of Reps has formally received a major fiscal proposal from the President Bola Tinubu, transmitting an appropriation repeal and reenactment bill covering the 2024 and 2025 budget cycle, alongside deliberation on amendment to the Electoral Act and concerns over parliamentary decorum. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
In a letter read at plenary, President Tinubu forwarded the Appropriation Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2/2024, seeking National Assembly approval for a total expenditure of over 43 trillion naira for the 2025 fiscal year. The proposed budget allocates more than 1.7 trillion naira for statutory transfers, over 8 trillion naira for debt servicing, about 11.2 trillion naira for recurrent non-debt expenditure, and over 22 trillion naira for capital projects and development fund contributions. According to the President, the bill is designed to end the practice of running multiple budgets concurrently while strengthening fiscal discipline, accountability, and capital projects performance.
This bill is to bring an end to the practice of running multiple budgets concurrently, while at the same time ensuring reasonable, indeed unprecedentedly high capital performance rates.
The bill also tightens spending controls, mandating that funds be released strictly for approved purposes, requiring National Assembly approval for vehement and enforcing periodic reporting on revenues and releases by government agencies. Lawmakers were urged to consider the bill expeditiously as it passed second reading and was transmitted to the Committee on Appropriation. Meanwhile, the House conducted the first reading of a supplementary bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act. Lawmakers agreed to amend the long title, clarifying that the proposal is an amendment rather than a repeal and reenactment of the existing Electoral Act. Proceedings were briefly interrupted as the presiding officer cautioned members of poor decorum on the floor of the House, warning against standing in the aisles, speaking out of turn, and disrespecting parliamentary ethics.
The original act is saying subsection 2 is given you supported with an affidavit not less than 90 days. And then the amendment is giving you a window, is saying within, I think it's too tight.
Approve clause 62 as amended, approve clause 64 and 65 as amended, approve clause 71, 73 as amended, approve clause 74 as amended, and adjourn consideration to the next plenary.
The House thereafter adopted several clauses of the Electoral Act amendment, deferred others for further consideration, and resolved to continue deliberations at the next plenary. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called a shooting at Sydney Bondi Bridge as an act of anti-Semitism and terrorism. Edika Michael, tell us more.
The Prime Minister Anthony Albanese convened a meeting of national security committees as a matter of urgency after 12 people were confirmed dead, including one gunman, in a mass shooting at the Jewish celebration at Bondi Beach. Albanese described the shooting as a targeted attack on the Jewish community during the first day of the Hanukkah. Anthony Albanese calls the scenes after the deadly shooting at Sydney says it's both shocking and distressing.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. Our police and security agencies are working to determine anyone associated with this outrage. Our agencies will provide you with factual updates as quickly as possible as they continue to emerge. We have seen Australians today run towards danger in order to help others. These Australians are heroes, and their bravery has saved lives. As Prime Minister, I say on behalf of all Australians to the Jewish community, we stand with you, we embrace you, and we reaffirm tonight that you have every right to be proud of who you are and what you believe. You have the right to worship and study and live and work in peace and safety, and you enrich us as a nation. You should never have to endure the loss that you have suffered today. You should never know the fear that you know tonight. We will dedicate every resource required to making sure you are safe and protected. You are Australian, and all Australians are with you today and every day.
World leaders have also reacted, from French President Emmanuel Macron condemning the shooting as an anti-Semitic attack and vowed to continue fighting against the anti-Semitic hatred. Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni offered condolences and called for firm resolve against any form of violence and anti-Semitism. Israel President Isaac Herzog was among the first to comment publicly, saying that his heart goes out to Jewish sisters and brothers in Sydney who have been attacked by the vile terrorists as they want to light the first candle of Hanukkah. Prior to this sad incident, a Hanukkah celebration is one of the most important events in the Jewish calendar, which was taking place at the famed beach where around 1,000 people showed up to participate. Edikan Michael reporting for Global TV News.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, has celebrated the CNS volleyball strikers for flying the flag of the Nigerian Navy high, describing their recent outing as a testament to discipline, teamwork, and naval excellence. Samuel Odi has details.
Receiving the team at the Naval Headquarters, Vice Admiral Abbas praised the resilience and consistency, saying their performance brought pride not only to Navy but to the nation. The Naval Chief reveals that sport plays a critical role in building physical fitness, mental strength, and operational effectiveness within the service. He assured the players of sustained institutional support, noting that their welfare would remain a priority. He charged the team to mentor young naval personnel, ensuring continuity and long-term dominance in naval sports.
We are selecting the best, and I will encourage you to keep it up, and possibly the younger ones that will come behind you, you mentor them, just like what your chairman has asked, to give consideration.
Vice Admiral Abbas also underscored the need to harness sporting talents during recruitment, describing it as a strategic move to strengthen the Navy's competitive edge across sporting platforms. Expressing confidence in the team's future, the Chief of Naval Staff urged players to stay focused, united, and committed to achieving even greater milestones.
So, be that as it may, the two requests that you have raised, we'll take care of them, and I assure you, if you leave here, articulate what you need with regards to your key thing, and forward it, I think, COA. That's your channel of D sports, and then so please, let's have it, let's see what we can do too.
As the CNS volleyball strikers set their sights on future competition, the Nigerian Navy says it remains committed to nurturing champions who excel both in service and on the global sporting stage. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
And that's it on the Milky Review this episode. Here's a reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You kindly follow us on all our social media platforms now showing on your screen. I am Kabir Hassan. I appreciate your time and thank you for watching.